Steelers handle business in SoFi. 49ers lose two in a row. The Bears win behind an undrafted free agent. Browns win a close one in Indy. And the Pats bounce back and beat the Bills. Episode 8 starts now. Welcome and good afternoon, beautiful people. And welcome to today's episode of the Two Dudes Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Freak.
And I'm Babs. Week 7's in the books, so let's talk about it.
All right, Babs, we're going to start with the 49ers lose their second straight ball game to the Minnesota Vikings last night on Monday Night Football.
It was a good-ass game.
Man, what a game for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
35 of 45, 378 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, which you kind of really can't blame on him because him and the DB and the receiver, Ward and Addison, were battling for the ball, and it just went Ward's way for that interception on the third play of the game?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And I put this game solely on Kirk Cousins and then Cameron Bynum, the one that had 2 interceptions. Both those interceptions kind of like prevented the Niners from getting any points to try to make it maybe a 2-point ball game.
Minnesota played well all the way around.
What's surprising a lot of people is that the Niners had no sacks. On 45 dropbacks, they didn't sack Kirk Cousins once.
I think even Kirk Cousins was kind of surprised on that one.
There was one time to where even you and Troy, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people thought there was one play where Kirk Cousins gets squished and swallowed in the pocket, but then pops out right at the end of it with the ball already out of his hands.
Yeah, that's
crazy. He in a lot of people's eyes, he played his best game.
He played awesome.
Man, he was lights out. It's only going to get harder for the Niners. They don't have a tough matchup going into Week 8. We won't get too much into their Week 8 opponent just yet, but,
Yeah, no, overall, the game was good. Minnesota played. San Francisco didn't play horribly. Those 2 picks late in the game kind of cost them. But Minnesota was just playing out of their minds.
Yeah. Debo didn't play. Trent Williams didn't play. But, I don't think Minnesota sacked Purdy that often. They got pressure on him.
It was 1 sack. I think they only sacked him once, so there was only 1 sack all game.
Yeah, it wasn't much pressure. But we talked about it last week. When Purdy doesn't have his star playmakers around him, he looks pretty pedestrian. He's an average quarterback at that point. Not to say that he's going to play like that every single time. They still had chances in this ball game to where they could have scored. It's just Minnesota's defense was suffocating at certain times, and
he still played good. Could have done better. but I mean, he still played pretty good.
Kittle was definitely more of a factor in this game than he was against the Browns. But I mean, Ayuk really wasn't anywhere in the ball game. I mean, he had a few plays here and there, but they didn't really lead to any significance. I mean, because once again, Minnesota's defense found answers to get off the field compared to the Niners defense. The Niners defense couldn't get off the field on third downs. Minnesota was what, 8 of 13 or like 11 of 13 on third downs? Like, that's insane. Like, when you're extending drives on third down at that high of a volume, you can beat anybody in the NFL, regardless of matchups. I mean, hands down, this is a good victory for the Vikings. I mean,
It
that's
was a good game overall, honestly.
yeah, and I mean that's without Justin Jefferson too, their best receiver. I mean, and they cooked.
Yeah.
I mean, Kirk Cousins cooked that defense, which is the most surprising aspect of this entire game. I mean, we both picked Minnesota to win this game, but I didn't
I didn't think it would
expect
be that
Kurt was
commanding.
gonna. Yeah,
They
they didn't they led the entire game. There wasn't a single time where the Niners took the lead. I mean, I guess that's the formula to beat the Niners. Get ahead and stay ahead. Get ahead and stay ahead, and
make them play from behind because
yeah, they're gonna have to.
they can't really run the ball when they're behind. Then
No.
and then you just force Brock Purdy to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
When they're
I mean,
playing in the lead, I mean, they could play at their own pace, and it's a little easier for Brock because he's not having to, he's in the lead. Just play his game. You don't have to try to make them come back.
right. All right. Let's venture away from the Monday, our most recent game. We'll go to. Let's talk about the Steelers. Steelers handle business in SoFi. They won this game. I would say pretty convincingly.
I mean, they outplayed all the way defense wise. They outplayed them. Offense, it was probably one of the best performances we've had in a while. Good sign. They still offensively they're still not where they're at. I think the fact that they're starting to pick up pace. I think Deontay Johnson being back helped.
Oh, definitely.
It just gives focus isn't on George Pickens every play.
I mean, with Johnson and Pickens both on the field at the same time, it allows y'all to spread y'all's offense out a lot more.
Yeah.
So,
Our
I
play
mean,
calling still isn't the best. I know there was a lot of audibles during that game. Um, I seen Pickett audible quite a few times.
yeah, there was instances to where you could obviously tell that Pickett changed the play, and it was successful. Like on that TD run by Harris, I don't think that was the play that was called. I
No,
think
he checked to it.
I think that they had two plays. The one that he checked to that scored the touchdown, and I'm pretty sure the other one was probably maybe a fade to Pickens on the outside. He checked to the run play, scored a touchdown, and then it panned straight to Matt Canada, and it's like he rolled his eyes.
Yeah, Mike Canada is still the issue. Our offense is good. They proved it right there. The funny part is like we're doing good. We're 4-2. We're not even close to hitting our ceiling.
No.
Like our offense is so good. Like the weapons we have, we're not even close to capping our ceiling yet. So when we do, it's gonna be scary. I think we have probably top three defense in the league, top five, easy. But our offense is what holds us back. I think it was the best offensive game we've had all season. Kenny Pickett,
I mean, y'all have had.
30 yards.
I mean, y'all have had. I mean, the game against the Raiders, y'all
We
are pretty.
didn't have this many yards.
No, but y'all are still
We
offensively
broke
sound.
300 yards. We broke 300 yards. We haven't done that a lot in 2 seasons.
I mean, that's.
The Rams still had more yards than us.
I mean, I think if your play call, if it keeps staying like this, I mean, y'all can win the grindy games. It's obvious about that because I mean, y'all shut them out in the fourth quarter, scored the only points that pretty much sealed the
But
win, tied it, and
that's
then
our
took the
defense
lead.
just being so dominant. If we could get our offense not even full caliber of what they can do, we're running probably like 50% of what we can do right now. If they can grow that, they're going to be real dangerous.
I would say it's the same, kind of the same that how I feel about my team. Pittsburgh's starting off too slow.
Yeah, we need to.
I mean, I
I
guess
would.
your defense is like you said, your defense is always showing up, so y'all are able to match that the first quarter. But the second quarter, I mean, if y'all can, if you can duplicate what y'all are doing in the second half the entire game, then I agree with y'all.
Oh yeah,
With you,
absolutely.
y'all can be definitely a team that you wouldn't want to face later in the season. And especially if you can get Najee Harris going more often, I think.
I think what they're doing right now with the running backs is I love the idea they're doing running back by committee. So if
Mm-hmm.
if if Najee Harris isn't having a good game, then and Warren is, they're going to go to Warren. If Warren's not having a good game and Najee's having a good game, they're going to stick with Najee. And a lot of that was Najee Harris meeting with the offensive team, and he's going in on his days off right now, giving ideas and stuff like that. So what he's doing I really like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like the what I see from when they pan to the rare chances that they often when they rarely pan to like coordinators that are not on the field but are in the booth, and you can visually see Canada's frustration when a player is successful because it's not exactly ideally the play that he called. I mean, I have an issue with that, and I mean, if I was a fan or any like if my voice was any type of like if they took what I had to say seriously in that organization, I would have an issue with that as well, especially if I was on that coaching staff.
No, I absolutely agree. They pan to him and he looks pissed. It's like, bro, you just scored it. You guys just scored. They're saving your job one more week.
Right.
You should be happy.
I mean, regardless if I mean, especially if you're calling two plays at once and you're saying, "All right, look, if the first one's not there, check into the second one," and they check into the second one, but you're frustrated or you're irritated because he checked, like, then what's the reason of giving him that call?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think Canada doesn't trust Pickett as the quarterback, or he doesn't see him as the quarterback as the organization itself sees him as,
And I
and
don't
that's
think
gonna.
he's
I
wrong
mean,
there. I think Pickett's
ultimately,
the
that's
future.
not
Like
right.
he's proven himself. I think. I
I
feel
mean, he
like.
proved that
I
last year.
mean, he's still got room to grow and get better, but it's his second year, and the man is playing good.
I mean,
I,
he's
I
finding ways to win ball games when Trubisky
it's
couldn't
yeah,
do that
we
the start
shouldn't be
of
winning
last
some
year.
of the games we're winning.
Right. Like the start of last year, the question was, oh, is this going to be Mike Tomlin's last year? Is he finally going to have a season under 500? No. They changed the Pickett, and Pickett flipped the script.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he proved himself last year. I mean, it's not just Canada's disbelief in Pickett; it's his play calling that's going to get him fired. Or I
Yeah,
mean, it should have already gotten him fired. But
our offenses should be a lot more explosive than they are.
yes, I mean, I think with Johnson going down, that kind of hurt y'all a little bit.
Well, yeah,
But
but
with him
even
coming
with him
back,
back, it's
it allows y'all to spread y'all's offense.
George Pickens, Deontay Johnson. They got Allen Robinson, Calvin Austin is one of the fastest dudes in the NFL right now. Like his 40 time, I can't remember how low. It was super low though. It's scary fast, but like they have the receivers, they have the tight ends, they have the running backs. Offensive line kind of iffy at times, but at the same time, they're playing good right now.
Right. I mean, I would definitely say. I mean, they'll definitely need it to win this week to keep pace with the Ravens with how they played this week. Um, yeah, it was
Yeah,
definitely a big win. I mean,
and you got to think we're sitting in second right now, and probably one of probably the toughest
it is.
division
It
in
is.
the AFC, but probably one of the toughest in the NFL.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I said that at the beginning of the year that I thought that y'all's division was going to be the toughest division this season. I mean, the Bengals didn't start off the way that they won, but they've ripped three in a row. They started 0-3. Now they're 3-3, coming off a bye, and they're going against the 49ers, who have just lost two straight.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the Niners are reeling. The Bengals are rested. So, I mean, that division is just getting a whole lot stranger. You got three teams that have only lost twice, and a team that's finally starting to come alive. That's won y'all's division the last 2 years and been to the AFC title game the last 2 years. So I mean, it's probably going to come down to whoever wins this division, and Kansas City is going to represent the AFC
Yeah, and
because
the good
the
thing is we've
Bills,
won our division games this year, so
right? The Bills have too many question marks. They're struggling way too early this year, and have already lost 3 games. The Miami Dolphins, they can only beat teams that can't win or play defense. And when they actually play a team that can play defense, they only score 17 to 20 points. So I mean, when it comes down to threats in the AFC, it's the AFC North and Kansas City.
yeah.
I mean, so well, I guess we could stay in your division and we'll talk about the Browns and the Indianapolis Colts game. That game, what a game. A 1 point victory. Cleveland scores 20 points in the second quarter alone. At
Yeah.
that point, it looked like it was going to be that they might run away with it, but Indianapolis stayed in it. For some reason, Deshaun Watson didn't come back into that game, but stayed in full
Yeah, I don't know what
pads and
happened.
wore his helmet on the sideline. So I was confused on that.
Yeah,
Regardless, PJ
what
Walker figured out how to win his second straight. I mean, I guess that win goes to Watson because he started. I have no idea.
yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know what happened. I haven't read any reports or anything on it either. So
I mean, this game was back and forth. It looked like Indianapolis might pull it out at the end. Um, but the Browns found a way. And a late field goal.
this one kind of surprised me because I didn't
Yeah,
think
right.
Cleveland's defense was gonna give up that many points.
38 points when what they're averaging
Yeah, they're.
maybe 15 points a game.
I mean, they played,
14.
and the bad part is they played good.
Miles Garrett
What do you have, like 4 sacks, 5 sacks, something like that?
in a blocked field goal where
Yeah,
he hurdled over the center. Because I mean, if you can do that, you can jump over the line, but you cannot make contact at all with the snapper.
yeah, he completely he that shit was crazy.
So I mean, we were talking about it. We were talking about it last night. I mean, you've got all these great defensive players. Right now, it's Miles Garrett who's defensive player of the year. I
The
mean,
way the way Minshew's playing right now, he ain't gonna be a Colt next year.
you don't think you think
Someone,
someone's finally
so,
gonna
someone's gonna
sign
tell
him
him
and
to start.
he's actually gonna get that chance to start
I mean,
somewhere?
the man's playing really good.
I mean,
I mean, he's not playing great. Don't get me wrong, but he's
15 of
playing a lot.
23. I mean, that's 305 2 T. I mean, that's winning football.
I could name a couple quarterbacks he's better than that are starters.
Hmm.
So
Are you gonna name them, or are you just gonna
no, I'm not going to. I'm just
just
saying I
keep? Oh, so
could.
you're just gonna leave us with that low hanging
Yeah.
fruit?
Hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, this game was. I mean,
Don't be surprised you see
it's
him in Denver next year.
Denver. Okay. Okay.
Just saying.
Denver. That's interesting. All right. So we'll transition. How about another surprising win? The Bears win behind an undrafted free agent who didn't play Division 1 college football. He played Division 2 college football. And
I mean,
what's his last name? Bajent?
Bayesian or
Yeah.
something like that.
Bajent.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't light the stats. But I mean, he was
I mean,
accurate. He was
he
21 of
played.
29,
Yeah, he played pretty good.
no
I mean,
turnovers.
the real story here is their rushing game. Deontay Freeman, bro, the man had 2 touchdowns,
16 carries, 89 yards. Yeah. I mean,
averaging
it was a
5.6 a carry.
pretty
They
balanced
had more
game.
rushing yards than passing yards.
I mean,
Vegas couldn't do shit.
no, I mean that's Hoyer, man. He's a journeyman. He's played
Yeah.
for I don't know how many teams, and
The
there's
Bears
there's
got Josh
those
Jacobs
rare
running
chances where
down.
they win games, and it's normally not because of him. So
Yeah, no, they couldn't get nothing go ahead. No run game. I mean, when you only throw for what 100, 200 yards total between two quarterbacks,
right.
like
I mean, there's not much you could do. I mean, the Bears play fundamental football. I would
yeah,
say. I mean, they're
I think
they're
it was
not
the
in
best they
any
played all
really
year.
in any position really to make us the playoffs or anything because they've already lost 5 games. But I mean, they can at least see what they have. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know how I don't know what's going. It was his thumb.
something his hand. They said his hand. They didn't say thumb. They said hand.
Okay,
So I'm
because
not
I
sure.
know the report was that he was doubtful because of his thumb.
Yeah,
So maybe they changed it in the injury report to his hand or something. Um, but yeah, that was another shocking win for the Bears. I guess it really wasn't as shocking because it was against the Raiders, but uh, as shocking as how dominant they were against the Commanders the week prior or a few weeks prior. Um, last game that we're talking about is the Patriots. They bounced back after losing 2 in a row to beat the Bills. I mean, this was pretty much like New England's ball game all the way up to the fourth quarter. That's when Buffalo actually came alive and got a couple touchdowns or a touchdown. And kind of made it interesting there, but I mean, what's going on with Buffalo? They're 4-3. They lost a total of 3 games last year, and they're already at 3 losses now. Is it time for Buffalo to start panicking, or
I don't
is
know.
this an admiration?
I honestly think Buffalo's overrated team. I always think that they're a good team. I just don't think they're one of the top tier teams. Yeah, Josh Allen is good. You know, their defense is pretty solid. Stephen Diggs is good, but like they're not. They just can't put it all together. They're losing to
Yeah,
teams they shouldn't be.
I mean, yeah. I guess you can kind of say it's probably time for them to hit the panic mode.
In, in my
Um,
in my opinion, they're like Miami.
I mean, they
They're
still
they're
got to
good when
play.
they're good when they play mid to low tier teams, but when they play top tier teams, they look mid tier.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean,
Like
they just lost to a
New
low
England's a
tier
bottom
team.
tier team. That's what I'm saying. They're a bottom team they just lost against.
And yeah, I mean, you could say that. I guess you could say so far the biggest roller coaster this season has been Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
I
mean,
mean, you got to think the
they
Jets
s-
are one game behind them.
right. They still got to play the Jets again and Miami again and New England again. So,
Yeah,
and they still have Dallas later in their schedule too. I mean, that I don't expect that to be easy for the Bills, especially the way they've been playing. So,
they
I
still got
mean,
to play the Bengals. They still got to
yeah,
play
and
the Eagles, the
Cincinnati.
Chiefs,
Jeez,
the Chargers.
they play the Chiefs, Bengals, and the Chargers still left on their schedule.
They play the Bucks next week.
Yes.
Then they play the Bengals. Then they play the Broncos, Jets, Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys, Chargers, Patriots, Dolphins.
God.
Like they're not looking too good.
No.
Their schedule's not looking too good.
Nuh-uh. I
Every one
mean,
of those teams can beat them.
definitely.
Every single one.
I
So
can,
if they
I can
want to,
definitely knock down a couple more losses on their schedule this year.
yeah,
They might be lucky if they get
they
12 wins.
they might not make the
You
wild
think
card.
you don't? You might.
They're sitting at 4-3.
This I
They're sitting at
I
four and
know, and
three,
this is
right?
bad because I picked them to win their
Pittsburgh
division. I
and
think.
Cleveland is sitting at 4-2. Cincinnati's at 3-3. They have to play each other. The Texans are at 3-3.
Yeah.
Like if they
AFC
don't
is kind
finish
of
out
still wide
strong,
open.
yeah,
I mean,
Miami's beating gonna
you can kind of get
Miami
their
is gonna beat them in the
division
division,
winners right.
and then so they got to make it through the wild card. So that
So
means they
it's
got to beat out Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and the Texans.
right. So it's what? So you're thinking what? Kansas City, Miami, they win their divisions
And then it's between us and Baltimore to win the division right now.
as
Us,
of right now.
Baltimore, and Cleveland right now. But we win the tiebreakers on all those. So if we finish so right now we're up. We're going to win the division if we end at the same record because we've won all our division games.
Right.
So that means they have to beat out Cleveland and Baltimore. And the way those two teams are playing, not happening. I'm just saying.
True.
Baltimore's 5-2, Cleveland's 4-2.
It's gonna be an
And
interesting
they
stretch
may not,
into the playoffs this year.
if they don't figure it out, they might not make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. All
Just
right.
saying.
With that being said, that will conclude our first segment of this episode. We can now venture in. We'll talk about injuries, injury updates and statuses, and then we can kind of talk about a little bit of trade alerts, which people will probably already be familiar with, but we'll just update people on them. Well, as of last night, we still know Jefferson is going to be out at least one more week, 2 more weeks with his hamstring. Um,
And honestly, the way they're playing right now, I would, because they're making a run right now. So I would honestly think that they're going to let Justin Jefferson take as
it,
much time as
yeah,
possible because they would prefer him later in the season because they're
and
playing
I
good right
mean,
now.
yeah,
If they weren't playing
Addison's
good,
playing well.
Addison's playing good, Hawkins, man, they're killing it. So I wouldn't rush him back if they don't need. If they absolutely do not need him, I wouldn't rush him back. I'd be like, you know what, he's not gonna want that, especially if they're winning. But
Right.
I would just to make sure he's 100% and get him ready for a playoff run.
Yep. Miles Sanders is still listed out for this week, but it could be changed. I know that they were on a bye week this week, so he had an extra week of rest. Um, so keep a close eye on that. Uh, that'll most likely change throughout the week if he progresses. However, his bye week went. Justin Fields is still. He was questionable last week. Didn't play, of course, against the
But
Raiders.
I did hear that he might be out another week
So he's still
because
questionable.
they were saying 1 to 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay. Yeah,
So I
so
just
he'll
don't.
still
But they
be
never really said what was wrong. So who knows?
right. We'll just leave it. We'll leave them as questionable. If they're really not sure, I mean they are coming off a win. So they didn't play terrible. They didn't turn the ball over. So we'll see. They might rest him another week. C.J. Gardner Johnson is still on IR. The Cardinals placed Zach Ertz on IR Sunday. James Conner is still on IR. Of course, Kyler Murray is still out with his knee. I think it's probably safe to say that Murray might not play this year.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't think he will.
it's possible he doesn't. Um, what are they? They what? 1-6.
1-6. Yep.
So it's I mean, do you play him now, or do you just sit him the rest of the year and
I honestly feel like they don't even
get
want him there.
get a high draft pick? Yeah, that's what it's looking like. I mean, they're still pretty much in every ball game besides a few of them.
That's the like they're losing, but like I feel like they're not losing by blowouts.
I mean, really, the
Like the
only two games
only
they've
blow
lost by 2 scores is San
the Rams
Francisco,
game.
the Rams, and this week against the
Yeah, the
Seahawks.
only
So it's
real
3 games.
yeah like but all the other games are staying close.
Yeah, and they've beaten a really good team in Dallas
Yeah,
handedly. So I mean,
I mean
they
I
they
don't think
they could
they're in no
probably
hurry for
squeak
him to
in a
come
couple
back.
more wins here and there, but yeah, I don't think they're going to bring him back either.
I don't think they're in a hurry for him to come back.
So Deshaun Watson, we'll just say questionable. I mean, he went out with that head injury against Indianapolis, and we were
Yeah, I'm
both
not sure
confused why
what
he didn't
happened.
come back in because he was
I
still on
didn't
the
know what it.
sideline with his helmet on. So,
Yeah, I think he might have been trying to get back in, and they
right,
were like, "Nah, chill." That's what I'm thinking.
I guess it was just weird seeing him on the sideline with his helmet on still, but they didn't put him back in. Van Der Esch, of course, he's still on IR, and Anthony Richardson, of course, he's on IR because he's just had. I don't know if he's had it already or he's still planning on getting shoulder surgery or not, but he is done
Yeah,
for
he's
the
done
year
for this.
officially.
Yeah, he's done for the year, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I thought.
officially. Yeah. All right. So we'll talk about trade alerts.
Oh, also Pittsburgh, Muth had a setback during their bye week, so he may be out a couple more weeks.
Ooh.
I guess they were starting. He was feeling better. They were giving him a little more, and then I guess he re-injured himself.
Damn.
So he may be out a couple more weeks.
Not good. Well, there goes our injury update. Trade alerts, as people probably already know, the Eagles, they signed Julio Jones last week, basically for wide receiver depth, and I guess for locker room presence. Um,
Yeah, that was a confusing one for us. We both
right.
were like, "What? Why?"
Uh, what they've recently done is they traded for Titan safety Kevin Byard for safety Terrell Edmonds for a 2024 fifth and sixth round draft pick. Um, yeah. Once again, the Eagles general manager is making moves to keep them atop in the NFC conversation to win a Super Bowl, at least represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I mean, this was kind of, I guess a good, a no-brainer. I guess they kind of needed secondary help. Bradbury and Slayer are pretty much coming back into form like they were last year. Um, so I could see them going with another safety. And there was no way he was going to play for Dallas because the last time they played each other in Dallas, he pulled a Terrell Owens and stood in the middle of a star. That's kind of like the most disrespectful thing you can do to another team is celebrate on their logo. So I highly doubt Dallas even wanted him. But yeah, Jerry Jones did mention on his radio show today that he's not against the trade, but he's not going to be the one initiating the calls. Yeah, he'll take phone calls, but he won't initiate them. He also is pretty much saying that he's not going to give away any of his players that he currently has on the roster now to get to get potential players for the future. He's not trying to trade a player for draft picks. So
I mean, that's smart, but you definitely need to make some moves.
right, I definitely agree with that. We got to make some moves, sure. Of course, The 49ers traded for Broncos defensive end Randy Gregory for a 7th-round pick, and the Chiefs traded back
That was
Mecole
funny.
Hardman from the Jets for a 6th-round pick. So
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
yeah, he left the Chiefs for the Jets and they came back.
They were right back to the gym.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
So there goes our injury and trade alerts so far. The deadline is the 31st of next week. So we'll find out. We might have an update for next week's episode or the week after, following the deadline of the trade for trades. So we will venture on to our power rankings for this week.
They got shift. They shook up a lot.
We got a couple shifts. Only 2 teams stayed in their same spots from last week. 1 team was on a bye week, of course.
I'm actually kind of. I don't mind this week's.
No. I think this week was probably their most. Probably their best. Their most unbiased power rankings. So coming in number 1 this week is the Chiefs. Of course, they were 2nd last week.
Yep, I agree with that. They're playing the most consistent out of all teams right now.
Yeah. Come off another win against the Chargers at home. Of course, you already know how I feel about a certain someone that was in attendance. So we'll move on. Coming in at number 2, they moved up a spot as well. The Eagles. They were ranked 3rd last week. They had a pretty significant victory over the Miami Dolphins on Sunday night. They pretty much won that one handedly.
Yeah.
I mean, if Tyreek Hill catches that pass and it's 24-24, it might be a different ball game at that point, but he doesn't catch it. Yeah, so it is what it is. Probably the most notable drop so far, the Niners, who have been the top spot pretty much all season, dropped to 3.
We've been saying that they should have dropped down.
Yeah. They lose 2 games in a row, so it was probably warranted that they dropped to number 3 this week. Coming down another spot from last week, the Dolphins, they're 4th. Probably warranted. I mean, they did lose to a really good Eagles team, so them only dropping 1 spot, I'm fine with that. We've already pretty much talked about Miami. Will flutter from 4 and 7 probably throughout the rest of the season. Coming in at the 5th spot, probably the second largest jump this week, the Ravens. They handled business against the Detroit Lions. Just smoked them 38-6. I mean, it was over from the word go. They were ranked 9th last week, so they had a pretty big jump. Coming in right behind them are the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were ranked
to jump into that top 10.
Yeah, they were ranked.
We'll get up into the top.
Yeah,
not just sitting at 10.
Yeah, because they were at the bottom. They were at the bottom of the list last week, so they had a significant jump this week.
They're starting to play like we thought they were going to in the preseason.
Right,
we predicted them to win their division.
Right.
But yeah, they're starting to play better.
Coming in at the next 2 spots, of course, the 2 teams that didn't move this week, Dallas and the Browns, round up 7 and 8. As for the Cowboys, 7, the Browns are 8. I'm fine with the Browns not moving. They edged a win against Indianapolis. I'm pretty sure if they lost, they probably would be off this list.
Yeah, they would have been down.
Yeah,
they would have probably been 11.
Of course, Dallas is coming off a bye. They face the Rams this week, so that's going to be interesting. Coming in at 9, a pretty significant drop this week. They were ranked 5th last week. The Lions. They got manhandled.
After that game, yeah, I would have dropped them that far too.
They got manhandled.
They got destroyed.
Yeah. Coming in at the last spot, I believe they were ranked 6th last week. It is the Bills. I mean, it's probably warranted. They lost to the Luck-Laster. No, they probably won't. They've got some tough matchups coming up later in their schedule. I don't know when their bye week is, but Much needed, for sure. That rounds up our top 10 power rankings. All right, Babs, lay it on us. Who won
All right.
the week 7
Last week.
picks?
All right, so we actually both did pretty bad this week.
Right.
I finished this week at 6-7, but I did beat Freak because he only finished at 5-8. So for the season, I am sitting at 64-42. Freak is sitting at 57-49. We both had a horrible week.
Yeah, it was bad, man. It was bad. I've got some interesting picks this week. We'll see. Yep. So, fuck. You beat me this week. It's last week. But this week, speaking of this week, let's get into our week 8 picks. Starting with the game that is coming up here soon. Thursday night primetime. Tampa Bay travels to the Buffalo Bills. This one, I got Tampa.
I did too. You fucker. I was like, oh, I'm gonna pick a team. He's not. He's gonna go Bills. I went Bucks too.
Yeah, I don't like what I've seen from Buffalo the past 2 weeks. I mean, Tampa could have won their game against Atlanta, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, Bills could have won that game against New England, but New England let them come back into that game. So, yeah, I got the Bucks on Thursday night. Starting our afternoon 1:00 games or wherever you're at. Miami versus New England. I went the Dolphins here. I think they bounce back this week.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't think New England travels very well. Give me the Dolphins this week. All right, we got a preseason rematch. The 2 New York teams, the Jets versus the Giants. Giants are coming off of a big win. Who?
I went Giants.
I got the Jets. Jets are coming off of a bye week. I think they're rested.
If they stay Tyrod Taylor,
Sauce
better every week.
Yeah, Sauce and Reed are playing this week, so they're going to have their top 2 corners back. I think this is going to be a big Sauce. I think it's going to be a big defensive game.
I just think the Giants play way better when Tyrod's in the game.
Yeah. So far, we don't know who's going to start yet, so it's a toss-up. But yeah, I got the Jets. You got the Giants. We'll find out Sunday. All right, coming to our next game. The Jacksonville Jaguars travel to the Steeltown Steelers.
You already know who I'm going.
Yeah, I went Pittsburgh here as well. I think Pittsburgh is coming off of a big win against the Rams, where a lot of people didn't have them winning that game. I think they build on momentum.
This will be a test for us, though. The Jags are playing good.
It's gonna be a big game. I think your defense shows up.
Yeah.
It's gonna come down to another late game.
Yeah.
A late game for sure. All right. Atlanta travels to Tennessee. I got the Falcons here.
I got the Titans.
Oh, interesting. All right.
Just because I think they're both mid-tier. Like, they're not great teams, neither one.
Yeah,
I think they're about balanced. They can literally go either way.
Yeah, but they no longer have their star safety anymore. They just traded him. So
that's okay.
I think that middle of the field is going to be wide open, and we'll see.
He's got to make the pass though.
Yep, true. Next game is the Houston Texans travel to Carolina. I got the Texans here.
Yeah, me too.
Texans are coming off a bye week, I believe.
Carolina's just playing trash.
Oh yeah, Carolina's going to have #1 overall pick most likely. All right. Our next game, you already know who I'm picking here. The Rams travel to Jerry World in Arlington, based on the Dallas Cowboys. I got the Cowboys here. You really went the Rams?
No, I said, are you going Rams?
No.
I went Cowboys.
Yeah, I got the Cowboys here. Cowboys coming off a bye. I think we're going to be rested, ready to go. Yeah, got Cowboys here. All right, coming off a big win Monday night against the Niners. The Vikings travel to Green Bay to face on the Packers. I got the Vikings here.
Yeah, me too. After
I
what
think
I saw
Vikings come
Monday.
back and turn around and they're 4-4.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Our next game got New Orleans travels to Indianapolis. I think New Orleans is coming off of a bye this week.
Yeah,
I like the Colts here.
I do
I,
too.
I think Minshew's been playing well. They're not starting off that slow like New Orleans is. But give me the Colts.
Yeah, I went Colts as well.
All right. This is a division matchup. Last noon o'clock, one game. The Eagles take on the Commanders. I got Washington.
You're taking the Commanders?
I'm taking the Commanders.
Oh man, I went Eagles.
I'm banking that Washington can get them once again like they did last year. They almost did earlier in the season in Philadelphia. Came down to a field goal in overtime. I think Washington can get it done, and it's going to put Dallas right back in the conversation of our division because we haven't lost in our division yet, and that will make the Eagles, I believe, 1-1 in the division or 2-1 or whatever. I don't know what it is, but that'll get them tied with Dallas
Okay. Okay.
with 2 losses on the year. So going Washington. Starting our late afternoon games, Cleveland travels to the 12th man, the Seahawks.
I took Browns.
I got the Browns here too. All right, the 325 games or wherever you're at. Baltimore travels to the 1-6 Cardinals. Got the Ravens.
Same.
All right, next game. Kansas City travels to Mile High in Denver. Denver is coming off their second win, but of course, yeah, I got the Chiefs here. All right, the last late game before Sunday night. It's the Bengals versus the Niners. Niners losing 2 straight. Who do you got?
I got the Bengals.
I got the Bengals too. I think Niners lose 3 in a row.
Bengals.
Bengals are coming out the bye.
Slow.
They're
They
well
started
rested.
slow. Yeah, and they're a good team.
Oh yeah.
I don't care if they started slow. They're
Should
they're
Higgins is going to be back. Higgins is going to be back.
You have to worry about.
Yep, you're going to have to worry about Boyd, Higgins, and Jamar Chase.
I don't care if they've lost every game so far this season. You better worry about the Bengals.
Yep. Bengals are a threat.
Yes.
I think the Bengals get the dub here. All right, Sunday night. The Bears versus the Chargers.
I think the Chargers are going to blow them out.
I hope this is a good game, but yeah, I got the Chargers as well. All right, last game, week 8. Monday night. The Las Vegas Raiders travel to Detroit. The Lions have another primetime game.
Lions ain't going out 2 weeks in a row like that.
I got the Lions, especially not to the Raiders at home.
Raiders can't do nothing this year.
We'll see.
They're so.
We'll see how happy.
Such a good team. They're just not consistent.
Yeah, we'll see how happy Adams is this week, following their loss to Bears.
Targeted him this week. You noticed that?
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, we'll find out.
Their issue is Jimmy G keeps missing games.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's injury prone, man. He can't stay healthy. Ever since he became a 49er, that was a problem. And it's his first year. He's been hurt. Like, he can't stay healthy. Just can't stay healthy, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen. That wraps up episode 8. Quick reminder. Every episode of the Two Deuce podcast airs 9 a.m. EST Wednesday. Every Wednesday at 9 a.m. EST. Anything you want to say to the lovely people, Babs?
Man, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell, comment, share it, get it out there.
Yeah, he said. and it's getting closer to the major holidays. So once it gets into November, we got some updates and everything.